Come, and let us explore this Dusk's meditation class and group practice that we too could meditate like a Jedi. This evening, let's explore the 11th passage of the unwaning victory banner comprised so many centuries ago by the great Buddhist reformer Prahevajra. Hey, Julian, welcome aboard. Together, let us relaxingly recite. The cause itself as the indestructible condition. Never having been born, it cannot be destroyed. The timeless fundamental state of perfect purity. The changeless sphere cannot be disclosed by thought. Okay, the cause itself as the indestructible condition, never having been born, cannot be destroyed. In the words of South Park, what? So, the cause of what? Why, the cause of enlightenment. What is enlightenment? Enlightenment is nothing other than the mastery of the Eightfold Path, getting so good at the Eightfold Path that we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. This is made possible. Well, I should back up and say the Buddha taught that mastery could be attained in as little as 7 days. And the reason for that is that simply by training in the 7th and 8th folds, mindfulness and meditation, the remaining 6 folds take care of themselves, which is pretty convenient. So the cause itself, the cause of enlightenment, is the indestructible condition. Well, what does that mean? To answer that, I need to switch to, what's it called? There's a fancy word. I'm looking forward to when it occurs to me. Let's see. The key to mindfulness and meditation is passively cooperating with our autonomic nervous system. It is the key to the mindfulness and the meditation that comprise the 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Every healthy, complex life form, especially mammals, especially primates, especially humans, every healthy human who is not the product of some catastrophic injury, any healthy human with a fully functional central nervous system has an autonomic nervous system. Okay, that's a good question. I'll get to that momentarily. So, we don't have to work hard to earn an autonomic nervous system. We don't have to work hard to earn our spinal cord. We don't have a spinal cord because we did enough bows or made enough offerings or said enough prayers or had enough faith or were just clever enough. We didn't earn it. It's, to use the colloquial term, simply our factory installed equipment. Bearing this in mind, let's return to this evening's opening text. The cause itself, as the indestructible condition, never having been born, it cannot be destroyed. So, birthlessness is a figure of speech. So, as we relax into our exhalation, whatever spinal cord we might have noticed or even conceived of during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as if it had never been born. Now, will it always feel that way? No. It might feel that way during our exhalation, then during our inhalation it could feel entirely different. This is simply a figure of speech. There are many, many people, and this is important. So I repeated, I explained this morning. I'm going to repeat this now. Let's see. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. That suckiness can go by many names. It can be described as yang, it can be described as patriarchy, it can be described as being a rightist, it can be described as being an acolyte of the Buddha's foolish cousin. Its attributes are typically being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. And I mentioned that to remind you that there are lots of people who will try to coerce us and frighten us for many reasons. Sometimes they think they're doing it for our own good. Sometimes they do it for their own sense of self-importance. But we always have this mechanism, our autonomic nervous system, that makes awareness and release, noticing and relaxing, mindfulness and meditation possible. Some days we're awesome. Other days we're shitheads. No amount of shitheadery is going to cause us to forfeit our autonomic nervous system, even though it has the spooky nickname of our Buddha nature. As long as we haven't, been fed to the guillotine, run over, by a Mack truck, or fed through what's the thing they put, a tree shredder? What's the proper name for a tree shredder? Yeah. As long as we are physically intact, we have access to the neurological equipment to enjoy the Buddha's path. The timeless fundamental state of perfect purity, this changeless sphere, can not be disclosed by thought. So what does that mean? Even though I may opine endlessly, or what seems like an eternity, just as if you were dying of thirst, and I enthusiastically described to you the flavor of water, that would do you no good at all. You actually need to drink the water. Yes? Of course, yes. Similarly, I could be the world's best salesman and convince you that mindfulness and meditation is great, but until you actually practice it, it won't benefit you. I could tell you that I could click this button here. Wood chipper, thank you. Thank you, Julian. I could click this button here. I could tell you that as we inhale, We are wired to notice in a very special way. We are wired to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But until you silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during your inhalation, my description is no substitute. I could tell you that as we inhale, we are wired to notice mind's antics of perceptions, such as sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. But that's no substitute for actually sitting and noticing whatever comes up, be it external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. I could tell you that as we exhale, I could tell you that when you silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during your exhalation, you are wired to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which you noticed during your previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and less defining, to the point that figuratively it can feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, feels non-graspable to the hand. I could tell you all that, but it won't matter until you sit and silently and mentally cooperate with your own inhalation and exhalation. I'm looking forward to answering your question, Julian, after in just a minute or two. Having completed our opening lesson, let us take a second to shift gears. It is Ahsoka Tano Thursday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Sende Lama Jigme Gyatso. I gotta tell you, I'm a big weirdo. For the last 30 years, I've spent the last 30 years harnessing my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I could be your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Now, at long last, I would like to answer Julian's question. Julian asked, do stimulant medicines taken for ADHD hinder our practices? Well, I've got a very annoying answer. Number one, I'd say hinder isn't the thing. Anything that changes how our body feels, anything that changes how our mind works, whether for a minute or an hour or a month, is going to influence our practice of noticing and releasing. Sometimes it might seem detrimental in the short term, but actually be beneficial. Sometimes it might feel beneficial in the short term, but actually be detrimental. The human condition is a complex formula with complex equation with many variables. And every variable has an effect on everything else. Sometimes subtle, other times overt. Sometimes, sometimes immediate, sometimes eventual. Sometimes direct, sometimes indirect. Sometimes actually, and other times just potentially. We live in a state of constant flux, where everything affects everything and affects everything one way or another. As a child, first they put me on Ritalin, then they put me on the generic, and I think they took me off it in high school because my body had a bad reaction to it after a while. Um, I had a very, very bad headache that wouldn't go away for like 3 months. And so they took me off of it, and that was difficult. And this is way back in the early 80s, when the crust of the earth was still cooling. And so they had me take Xanax while I was getting off, while my body was, I don't know what the right word is. Was it getting through my addiction to Ritalin? Because, quite frankly, just because a doctor gives you a medicine doesn't mean you can't become dependent on it. I don't know the intricacies. I'm not an MD. I'm not a pharmacist. But I do know it was difficult. After a while, I no longer needed the Xanax and I was able to move forward with my life. That didn't mean my ADHD was gone or my autism was gone. It just meant that a tool I was using to cope no longer benefited me. Any doctor knows that our bodies are always changing and the way drugs affect our bodies will change. And so it's crucially important to have good lines of communication with your physician. So when it comes to meditation, if you have any difficulty, just ask me about it. Type your question in great detail in the chat window, and I will be delighted to answer it for you as best I can. I can't lie to you and tell you that I know everything about everything, but when it comes to meditation, I more often than not, I may be able to help you out, and I sure am willing. I hope that helps, Julian. Okay, so I'm going to tap button number 9. To keep track of our first collection of 144 breaths, we can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger on the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Julia, my friend, you are utterly welcome. To count our bonus set of 12 inhalations, we can use our right hand. 1, 2, 3 inhalations, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 inhalations. On our left hand, we can count 12 sets of 12 inhalations each. 1, 2, 3 sets, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 sets of 12 inhalations each. All right, so quick like a bunny. Excuse me. Going to tap button 8. Okay, so Jillian asks, do you find it hard to carry on conversations using right speech with people who use idle chatter? I'm very short with words. Excellent question. Excellent question. Oh, yeah. And that's great. And I send my love right back to Kevin. So, the more we watch the play of mind in harmony with our inhalation and relax into mind's non-graspable nature in harmony with our exhalation, the more we do that, the more our choices, utterances, and deeds will flow, not from scattered spontaneity, but from centered spontaneity. And so there was a time when I was in a toxic situation and I knew I had to leave. I wanted to leave doing the least amount of harm as possible. And I wanted to leave, and as I was preparing to leave, I wanted to communicate in a way that did the least amount of harm. So I knew I needed to leave and communicate. I didn't know how or when to do so. And so I sat in meditation, and the course of action came to me. It flew through me effortlessly. And I was able to extricate myself from a very bad situation. The next time you find yourself with people who are gossiping or talking shit or just flapping their gums without sitting with your legs crossed, maybe gazing at a dog or gazing at a cat or gazing at a flower or gazing at the tree or gazing at whatever, just practice meditation while you're sitting or standing or walking, silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this as you breathe in, as well as silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease as you breathe out. Do that and go with the flow. You might say, well, gotta go, and find yourself walking away. You might find yourself automatically changing the topic of conversation. Who knows? It'll be an exciting adventure. You might say what seems like the perfect thing. You might say what feels like, sticking your own foot in your mouth. Go with the flow. Whatever happens, as long as you persist with mindfulness and meditation, will only serve to multiply your wisdom. Now that might sound like I'm playing word games. So I'm going to get spooky for a second. Just because we're going with the flow doesn't mean the words someone needs to hear are going to always be comfortable. Doesn't mean they're always going to make us look good or make us feel good. All we know is this present moment and our enthusiasm to cooperate with our autonomic nervous system in a way that pacifies anxiety and aggression, in a way that nurtures our love and our wisdom and our peace. Peace and love are your greatest tools. I hope that makes sense. To keep track of our second set of 144 breaths, inhalations, we can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. As we end. So to keep track of the next 12 inhalations, we can use our right hand, advancing the thumb with each inhalation. 1, 2, 3 inhalations, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 inhalations. Let us count. We can count 12 sets of 12 inhalations each on our left hand. 1, 2, 3 sets of 12 inhalations each. 4, 5, 6 sets. 7, 8, 9 sets. 10, 11, 12 sets of 12 inhalations each. Julian, you're welcome. As we go through life, as we drag a magnet through a sandbox, it cannot help but pick up iron filings. Similarly, as we go through life, the decades pass us like mile markers on the highway. We cannot help but accumulate emotionally intense experiences. Some are terrifying, some are infuriating, some fill us with despair, others fill us with joy. Therefore, do not be surprised as you sit in meditation that memories and confabulations seem to march across the stage of your mind. Our job is neither to repress nor indulge, simply to notice and relax. Whether that which we watch is a documentary, a comedy, or a tragedy. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's dawn meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.